Kane, it's 1-0. We're fucking down. 13th in the championship. The takeover happened, as I said it would. People will be... Oh, when have we got Leeds? Now then, people, welcome back to the Just Joe Football Show. I hope you are all doing well. I know we only spoke just a bit ago, but listen, there was so much to go through and get through there. I challenge anybody to get this lineup right, because he wouldn't even be pushed on Junior Firpo starting, because it was very much... I can't say whether or not we can rest him, because we might have to move people around. You know, he made the thing of, like, we might have to see Archie in midfield, and then if Roberts isn't fit, who goes in at right back? Will it be Jamie Shackleton? Who can then play at left back? So Byram as well. Like, normally you'd think, yeah, Byram goes in at left back, but if we do have to move people about, then it's a case of, like, Byram goes in at right back and we're going to have to play Junior at left back. I'm sorry, Junior. I know you only played 24 hours ago, but we need you. That's what it almost feels like. It's, yeah, like, I can't lie. Yeah, I am a little bit. Like, I'm a little bit more, ooh, okay, Watford could be harder. But they've got international players as well. But the issue with us is, obviously, our lot played 120 minutes just yesterday, and it sounds like there's been quite a few injuries. See, I think we're at that stage, and again, I'll bemoan the March bloody internationals causing ruptions when you've got 8 games left to play. It is a bit shit, but yeah, like, this is why I think people like Rutter and that, even if they're not 100%, I think they might get used, because we might need them, because Nonto's also got a knock as well. So Nonto, Gruyev, Roberts. Obviously, we've to wait for Rodon and Ampadu to come back, but hopefully they're fine. They'll just be tired. Gruyev in midfield, I didn't know that one either. Strauch's out for the rest of the season. So the fact that when he was asked about Firpo, he said, I can't tell you yet, because it depends on other players whether or not I'll need to use him. And if Junior plays, then fair play to him, because, you know, you could easily be like, listen, I can't make this, but he's going to have to push. They're going to, listen, they get paid the big bucks. It's a football match, it's 90 minutes. Do you know what I mean? So we'll have to wait and see. But we've got loads to get into. Please do smash a like on the video. Subscribe to the channel, get your comments in, and of course hit that notification bell. But we could see Gray go into midfield. It like I say, it genuinely depends on who's fit, really. Who's fit, which is not ideal, is it? But you know, what can we do? These things happen. It's frustrating, to say the least, because of again, I'll just bemoan these fucking international breaks, especially when they're not competitive. The Wales one was competitive, but you know, Gruyev's wasn't. Willie Nonto's wasn't, you know, so not the best. But let's go through it anyway. So we'll start first of all, Farco on the Wales Euro exit. You know, we were chatting earlier on, will it affect us long term? You know, Evie made a great point. We've got a great manager, and his man management skills are second to none. And, you know, this is what he said. He said, look, if you suffer such a disappointment, you want to be alone. Again, that's knowing your players, right? He's not got on the phone to Dan James. And, you know, this is a difference. I always remember, like, Calvin, for example, used to always get contacted by Bielsa, because you can tell from Calvin's character, for me, that he needs that. Do you know what I mean? He needs that arm around the shoulder and stuff. So when he'd had, you know, poor performances or whatever, he's straight on the phone to Calvin. Dan James might not need that. It might be a case of, I just want to be left alone to wallow for a little bit. Some people like that, right? But he says you get so many posts already of words, you know, so maybe you can do without it. You're already getting everyone telling you, it's all right, so I'll just leave him alone and wait till he comes. He said, so to leave them alone is a bit beneficial. They haven't arrived yet. It was a long night for them. They stayed in Cardiff overnight and they're on the way back now. So the players will be arriving throughout the day. He said they'll just do recovery today and injury assessment. This is the thing, we don't know, do we, that if, you know, that a Rodon or a Ampadu haven't picked up a knock. We don't know, do we? So they'll be injury assessed, recovered. But he did say they're experienced lads. They don't need too many positive words from me to focus pretty quick on Leeds United. He says we have a lot to play for and fight for, and they should take motivation out of this to put more energy in for their club. Because, you know, if we get promoted, that Wales loss can quickly be put on the back burner. If we go out against Watford on Wednesday and beat them, and Dan James scores, and Rodon and Ampadu keep another clean sheet, it's like it's on the back burner. Back to club football now. Back to the running. We've got 8 games left. Let's go. Do you know what I mean? Let's get promoted. Let's get promoted and right them wrongs. He was then asked about maintaining form and obviously asked about Rutter, because as we know, Rutter went for a hernia op. 10 days, it's all gone well by all accounts. Will he be ready to play? So Farke didn't hide from the fact that the last 2 weeks were difficult and challenging. We all felt that. I think until last night we were all doing okay. And then when it went to 120 minutes and we seen Roberts and then they get knocked out, we're like, oh God, this hasn't gone to plan. He said, first of all, they've had a little break and a little rest, which was great and much needed. Also great for his staff. As well as a handful of players. There was lots of travelling, load, mental pressure for the lads on international break, which you can't say more than the Wales lads. He said, we've had time to give surgery for Rutter, and because in the last few weeks during the break, before the break, he was terrific, but he was playing with pain. Again, Rutter was having poor performances, but still getting assists. We'd noticed this with Somerville, and we know Somerville was carrying a knock before, so hopefully that's mended. But we know now maybe why Rutter's influence wasn't as great, even though he was still putting up numbers. He wasn't his best, was he? But he said he's still there with crucial moments during that time. But he said it's also quite normal. You can transport an injury for a few weeks, but not for months, because at some point you will pay the price, i.e., they'll have had this conversation with him. The doctors, Farke, Rutter will have sat down, right, and said, listen, we can get you through to international break, then we'll send you for an assessment and we'll challenge it then. And I think that's been the best course of action for us. But sometimes that doesn't work. Look at Strauch. We said, let's sit and wait. Now, you know, Farke's probably annoyed at that. He's now had to go for a surgery, which has meant he's out for rest at season. God forbid if we do get an injury to Rodon and Ampadu, because then we are really on the last legs. This international break could buckle us, but I don't think it will. I think we'll be fine. It's just not ideal. I'm excited for it, but it is such a quick turnaround on Friday and Monday, right? But that's not just us; it's everyone else as well. So yeah, he said he's on the road back. He's already been involved in team training. So I think Rutter will play. I've said this throughout as well. Rutter will play for me. The fact that he's already been involved in team training, he said it's a positive thing. So for me, Eric, now you talk about injuries. No, we're still winning the title. What are you going on about? I haven't changed that fact. We'll still win the title. I still believe this. Great though, backing your team and that saying Watford. To see, this is the problem. So because you said we won't win the title and I'm counting my chickens before you hatch, you now want us to lose just so you can prove that point a little bit. That's how I read that, bro. You should be wanting to win. You know, why wouldn't you? Do you know what I mean? These is so Eric, if we get beat, what are you going to do? Come on and say, I told you we won't win title. It's like you enjoy and revel in Leeds United getting beat. There's content creators out there that do that. Go watch them. Do you know what I mean? Not here. We will win the title just because we've got a few knocks. Come on now. Anyway, Rutter back, yeah. Rutter back in team training, yeah. So that's a positive, you know. So for me, Rutter will play. Yeah, exactly. At Luke B, tell him hold that L, baby. Last week they trained with just 6 outfield players, and this week only 7 because a lot of them are busy. But this is a positive thing. Look, you have to take if we didn't have international players, we wouldn't be where we were. Yeah, we wouldn't be where we were. But he says, "Oh, Evie, you know, man. Evie, you already know the script. They will be buzzing." You can't work on team tactical behaviour with a small group. It's been difficult to focus on the next games. We've been here before, right? Like, we've had to play through quick periods before. Many games in many days, and we've come through it fine. Let's not forget when we had Chelsea sandwiched in and he couldn't work on a tactical plan for that because of the quick turnaround. We took them to the 90-odd minute. We played well in arguably better parts. We were the better team in parts for me. So Watford, lesser opposition, not going great. I think we're going to be fine. Rutter, I think, plays. I think he'll have to play due to the amount of injuries. Because here's this, right? So if Nonto's got a knock and you don't want to commit to Firpo, you're having to move parts, right? I have no problem with Gray going in midfield. But my point is as well, if you look in the forward area, if he doesn't risk Rutter, then who's playing 10? Pirro maybe, but then Nonto's out. Does James come back in? Is he in a place to start? There's a lot of moving parts. But yeah, I still think we'll win both games. You know, I do think we'll win both games. Just on Watford, Farker said there are a few injury concerns after the games in recent days. We'll have to be there with some late calls and be smart with what we do, ensuring that we don't overload them with too much information. So that's another thing mentally, right? The Wales lads especially, you just come back, just play your football, lads. You know, up to this point of the season, since in 2024, you've not been beat. You've not been beat. You've only conceded 3 goals. Just go out there and have fun. Do you know what I mean? He said, obviously, it's also about 3 points, but our red-hot form is not the case. It's crucial that we find a way to survive this fixture on Good Friday. That's quite an interesting statement, isn't it? Forget about the red-hot form. It's crucial that we find a way to survive this fixture on Good Friday. With the best possible performances in the circumstances. I think it's a lot. I think Farker already knows he's going to be playing sticky plasters. The fact that he didn't. It was the Firpo one for me, because you could tell sort of in his demeanour and his answer, and he was like, oh, I don't really want to answer because, you know, and Archie might have to play midfield. And so already he's already thinking about what this. I would bet anyone now they won't be able to name the lineup. I think it's there's too many plates being spun at the minute. Not ideal, but like he says, it's all about surviving the fixture. Hopefully we can get through it. Just don't get beat. Just don't get beat for me. Farker actually mentioned about, you know, he mentioned something a little bit later on, it'll probably be in my notes, but about results and, you know, if you didn't get maximum, it's not because you got a quick turnaround and stuff. And I was like, ooh, is it feeling that bad? But he was asked about being the team to beat as well. And again, of course, he pushed it away from us. He says, no, Leicester has a game in hand. They have the best possible option. That's a fact. That's the reality. For this weekend's, the games before are not important because we play more or less 2 games this weekend. There's 6 points up for grab. Watford, we train without a proper training session, then a session on Sunday before the game against Hull. We don't have to speak about the table right now. We have to find a way to be competitive for these 2 games. Yeah? So that's what I'm saying. Even training as well, right? Anyway. Eric, it's not even worth, bro. Not even worth it. Are you sure you're a Leeds fan? Are you sure you're a Leeds fan, bro? Anyway, move. So, on the injuries, these are the injury lists, right? So there are a few concerns. Rutter is one of them. He's on a good path, but he's not able to train a full session yet. But we still have 48 hours, and I'm carefully optimistic he'll be in the squad for some minutes. I think he'll have to play. If he doesn't, not great. He said there are some more concerns. Roberts limped off. I hope it's not too bad, but let's be honest, if you limp off, you're usually not available 2 days later. He goes on to say the same with Willie Gnonto. He reported some hamstring problems after the game, and Gruev reported a problem with an ankle ligament after the Bulgaria game. They are doubts, okay? So that's Gnonto, Gruev, Rutter, Roberts, right? So let's say for example, folks, that they're out. Yeah? Let's say them 4 players are out. Gray goes into midfield to cover Gruyev. Sam Byram comes in at right back. Dan James would have to start for Nonto, and Pirro would have to go in the 10. I think that's what we do. But then also you've got to think in the back of your mind, will Firpo be able to play? So then you might have an issue at right back, and you might have to play Byram at left back so that Shackleton plays at right back, you know? So it's going to be moving parts. Hopefully Firpo can play. Because like I say, he only finished a couple of hours ago, right? Like, because of the time difference, he was still playing. So we'll wait and see. He spoke about the togetherness, though. He says it's priceless. Even after difficult days, it's good to be around players you know well. We are a family. This is important, right? He said the lads played 120 minutes talking about Joe Rodon, Ethan. They will need time to recover and clear their heads. Don't speak too early about what we have to play for. Start with that tomorrow. They cannot burn the candle from both sides. They need rest. Do not overload them. It's beneficial they are back with their families, meaning Leeds United. I love that. This is proper man management, right? This is proper management. This isn't some... I hate to go back to it saying everyone's the best player in the world and all that sort of stuff. That little speech there is brilliant. Like Gav says, it was great how he mentioned the family unit and coming back home. Evie's touched on it there as well. Exactly, Evie. The difference from last year is astronomical. And that's what I'm saying. It's good that James is coming back to the club with Ampadu, with Rodon. And we know that Farke's on about creating this. That Leeds United stunk last season. The players stunk. The fact that the captain at the end of the season had to come out and make a statement, if you don't want to be here, you can fuck off, tells you all you need to know. It shouldn't be like that. The captain should be coming out and saying, as a group, we're going to come back together and get this club back to where it belongs. But he didn't do that. So that shows you straight away that group was fractious. This one is not. You've got Ethan Ampadu doing interviews saying how much he's lent on Strauch and Cooper in order to be captain and all that. That's a proper tight-knit group family that Farke spoke about. And that's what he wants to foster, He did say, look, let's get some positives. He did then say there were some positives during the international break. He said, congratulations to Archie, his first appearance, first goal for the under-21s. He'll be flying, by the way. This is something we have to think about. He will be flying. He says, I'm also pleased he wasn't involved in every minute. He only came on in the first game, played 60 minutes in the second. So he said it's been beneficial for him. Also gave praise to Mateo Joseph, good confidence level at the moment, also scored a goal. Them both will be available for training tomorrow. You're going to see Archie, aren't you? Mateo won't be needed unless Bamford's not fit. But at least now, Evie spoke earlier on in the season. She'll be getting a big head here, I keep using her. About game changers. Mateo Joseph is that now, right? I still disagree with that statement, by the way. But you know what I mean? That is someone now who is in such a good moment in his career in terms of his confidence right now. Like, he'll feel that everything I touch turns to goal. Do you know what I mean? So he's a player that can be used. Maybe you could use him even off the left. Do you know what I mean? He's played on the wing before. I thought he would end up being a left, like a sort of inside forward until this season, if I'm being totally honest. But he's an option. Definitely option. He spoke about Stuart Dallas. I can be, man. I can be. I'm just joking. Evie's the GOAT. There you go. So, Stuart Dallas, I spoke about Dallas earlier. I've been told he's got fluid in his knee and he's having to have it drained and that. But like I said, that's not confirmed reports. That's just information that I've been told. But he did go on to say, Stuart is a Leeds legend. He's done more for this club than many players. He's been here several years. Remember, Uwe Rosler brought him in from Brentford as a winger. He achieved so much, so he gets all the backing and time he needs for his recovery. I wish someone would have pressed him on his contract, though, and said, but he's out of contract. So now what? Because Farke's saying we'll give him all the time he needs. Well, will he do that out of contract, or are you going to give him a year? This is what I wanted to know, but we didn't get it, unfortunately. He just said he'll get all the backing and time he needs. He's a top-class bloke and a great professional. Would love to have him back fit in my dressing room. There's no time pressure for him. He's working with our rehab coaches and doctors. Sadly, though, you're not getting any younger, and you have to accept this. He will get all the help and support he needs. If there's a chance to get Stuart back on the pitch, we are greedy to make this happen. So they want him to get through it. I think we all do. But what about his contract? Do you know what I mean? But Stewart wants to get there before end of season, so maybe he's closer than we think. I don't know. He was asked how it compares with his Norwich spell. Like I said, it was quite a large press conference for Farkadis. Quite a large, long. Same thing. He says, stop it. How does this compare with Norwich spell? Every season and club is different. The group of players is different. Some similarities. Was not realistic in August to speak about such a position. What we have achieved is remarkable. I signed here because I know the potential of this club and how big this club is. I do love challenges, a mission impossible. He said it was similar when I joined Norwich, somewhere in mid-table in the Championship. Great lads, but on the way down. The team was old. We had no money. Different situation, but similar in the sense it's like against adversity. Like he said, a mission impossible. Then he spoke on Strauch. They must have forgot about Strauch in the earlier parts, and then someone asked him, and he said, look, a decision was made. He had surgery last Monday. It's long and it's complicated, more than 2 hours, but it went well. He started his first steps in the rehab process. He will miss out the rest of the season. Disappointed for him, but it's better to get him there and then get ready for the season. Do you know what? I wonder if Strauch's concerned maybe about his place. I know I rate him and I would start him when we did the start bench sell the other night. But I think, I wonder if he's worried about his place because I think Leeds United will look to a centre-back, and if he's not ready for pre-season, arguably, or not on it straight away, then, it'll be probably, and it's disappointing because he was in a great moment, wasn't he? He was flying. He was flying. Okay, here we go. Rysel said, Joe, I told you before I speak to Stuart's brother regularly. Stuart can't get up to and keep running at pace. His brother said that Stuart hopes to play, but is realistic there's a chance of game over. Wow, okay. There you go then. That's from Rysel. Thanks for that, Rysel. Then he was asked about Byram, obviously, because of Firpo. I think Baron Cross asked this, and he said, look, Sam was with us the last 2 weeks, so he is prepared if I need him, but it's too early to speak about that. Under normal circumstances, Junior wouldn't be able to start the game because he's played in the early hours of this morning due to the time difference, and he's back late morning tomorrow. But I can't rule anything out at the moment because we have to wait for the assessment. So that there, straight away, that was where I went, oh, okay, so maybe some are a little bit worse than others. Yeah, that is a good point as well, Jamie. That is a good point you made about players being worried about their place is a good thing. Yeah, fair. Competition and that. But I wasn't sort of saying it wasn't. I was just saying, like, I wonder if Strauch is worried. Probably is. But yeah, Junior Firpo, the fact that he didn't... Because normally no manager, even Liverpool players, when they're fighting for titles, if they played in South America, Klopp will have them on the bench. We've seen Rafinha get a jet plane back to Leeds with the Premier League Liverpool lads and get put on the bench by Bielsa. So the fact that he's willing to play him shows there's a few issues there. And I think that might mean Sam might have to play at right back because Gray might have to play midfield. However, if Junior don't make it, then Shackleton's going to be used in one of the full-back areas, I'd imagine. So it is going to be sticky plaster time. So when we get that line-up tomorrow at 7 o'clock, or Friday, at 7 o'clock, it's going to be interesting. He did also mention Gray in centre midfield due to Knox, and like I said, you can't predict this team. It's going to be a hard slog. Charlie Creswell's fit. I didn't even realise he was injured. That's how far down the pecking order he is. But Creswell's fit, and he's been outside trading with them today, so he's available. Not that it'll be used. He was then asked about the nerve and stamina needed, and he says it helps now. We've been together for such a long time. We know what we want to do at this stage of the season. It's not like you have to start with the basics again. When they go on international duty, sometimes it's different with base formation, different tasks for individual players, etc. But we have to find a good scenario to focus them on again, what you want to do. Right now, we have to work more on the tactic board and the video meetings with what we want them to do. But we do have bright lads, i.e. we can show them the tactical plan, but we can't put it into fruition because no feckers here, because we only had 7 players, yeah? He was then asked about reliability and performance levels. I think Phil Hay asked him, "Is this like your most like reliable team that you've had?" And he did say, "Look, they were outstanding in recent weeks. I don't like to compare because I had proper lads and great characters when I was at Norwich, which were a side of free transfers. This is what we need to remember as well when we do get promoted, not if when." That he's going to have money to spend. I'm excited, me. But he says one of our secret was to stick together, and he's doing that at Leeds United, right? And he says I don't want them to be misjudged, but I have to say it's a joy to work with these lads at the moment. The spirit in the dressing room is extraordinary. Yeah, it is extraordinary. Let's just before we leave, let's just have a look at building what we think the team's going to be. See what the team's going to be for the weekend. So I'm just going to quickly share my screen. Please do smash a like on the video for me as well if you haven't already, folks. It massively helps. We've only got 120 and there's nearly 500 people. So if we can get that up to 200, that'd be greatly appreciated, please. So we know that Melier is going to start in goal. That's probably your only guarantee. Actually, so Bamford starts, Dunny. That's a guarantee. It sounded like Somerville will be all right, so he's going to start. Let me just change him. I bet. We know that Somerville's going to start. Sounded like Kamara. There's no issues there. So Glenn's going to go in midfield. How else do we see it then, folks? I think that's your only givens right now. I think. Or Archie. Sorry, yeah, Archie. But where does he play? Does he play right back or does he play centre midfield? Do you see what I'm saying? So Gruyev's out, potentially. Let's say these players are out, right? Let's say Rutter can't start, which, Jamie mentioned earlier, and the fact that Farke mentioned squad, maybe he won't. But I think so. Let's say Gruyev is out. Archie's going to have to go into midfield. Roberts out. Let's say I can't see Roberts playing if I'm honest. So do you then have Byram coming in at right back? Has Byram played right back for us yet? Your centre backs they're gonna have to play, provided they don't come back with any knocks. Left back, you hope it's Firpo, right? You hope it's Firpo. If not, it's gonna be Shackleton, and you'll switch Byram and him around. But you hope it's gonna be Firpo. In the cam, I'm gonna go Pirro. Oh. And then are we looking at Dan James if Nonto's out? Which, do you know what, might be a good thing for Dan James, I can't lie. See, it's not that bad of a team, folks, is it? It's not that bad of a team, really, if we're being honest. It's actually not bad. I think it starts to get worse if Firpo can't make it. And then you're looking at Byram at left back. Why is that not come up then? Is that exist? And then you're looking at Shackleton at right back. I mean, is that bad though? Is that bad even if Shackleton has to play? Do you know what I mean? Is it that bad? I probably not. Yeah, like, it's probably fine, isn't it? It's not great. The full-back areas aren't great. Yeah, I don't think it's that bad. You'd rather Cooper than Shaq. Where? Playing left back? Definitely not, bro. Shackleton will run all day for us as well. Yeah, I don't think it's that bad. If we're being totally honest, yeah, like Evie says, that team can beat Watford at worst case scenario. And like Stevie says, there is enough there. I don't think he'll do that, Paul. It's too many moving parts. I don't think he wants to split the centre-back. It's the fact that he mentioned Gray as well. We could have had I probably would have... No, not Creswell. I probably would have had that discussion and probably agreed with you had he actually not mentioned Gray in midfield. He actually said, when talking about Firpo and him potentially being played, he did mention Gray in midfield. Yeah, mentioned Gray in centre midfield due to knocks. Cannot predict to this team. Yeah, so like I think in an ideal scenario though, Gruyev plays, Gray goes at right back, Firpo's at left back, Rutter starts, and then you're okay, aren't you? Yeah, I'll start James or Nonto. I think they're both in a great moment, apart from what happened for James, but he'll want to right them wrongs. So yeah, it's not that bad. If it is this worst case scenario, I still think that team beats Watford. It'll be cagey, yeah, but probably going to be cagey anyway, isn't it, folks? Yeah. So that's your press conference reaction. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. I've got my son tonight. Might be a live stream when he's in bed. Tomorrow you'll have a preview dropping in the morning, and then we've got White Rose Rivals at 6, and then And then Good Friday, we're locked in for about 12 hours. You best be here, be there or be square, you know, where it's at. Before you go, though, what we're going to do, we're going to redirect. We're trying to help other content creators. I want you to stick with it and help me help out other creators. They do it for me. Big up to Lee Gunner, by the way. So let's do that. Let's go over and jump in and do a redirect. Who should we redirect to? Let's have a look. This is Football is on now, which is Don Hussam and Lee Gunner and right. Okay, this is where you're gonna go. So you've got Don Hussam, you've got Lee Gunner, and you've got Footy Judge Moore. All legends. Worked with each and every one of you. With them, sorry. So I'm gonna set the redirect now. Go on over. Put Just Joe Raid. Leeds. Just Joe Raid, Leeds. I'm going to come on over with you as well. Thanks as always for watching the Just Joe Football Show. It means an awful lot. Smash a like on your way out. Let's go do the raid. Just Joe Raid. I best see you in the comments. Yeah, let's go.